Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Welcome to special edition of Connect the Dots. I'm your host, Brother Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. I serve the Southwest Regional Student Minister for the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we'll begin our first initial Connect the Dots special nighttime edition with a clip from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Savior's Day 2020, entitled The Unraveling of a Great Nation. And this is his explanation and of, what is the pursuit of happiness. Be right back with you with more Connect the Dots.
We hold these truths, the founders' right, to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and security. Do you have life, liberty? What is the pursuit of happiness? You mean you don't have it? No, you don't. And if you think having a nice car and a few dollars in the bank is the pursuit of happiness, you're sick. Having the pursuit of happiness is engaging in the business of life itself. Having the pursuit of happiness means that you create the means of self-sufficiency. Having the pursuit of happiness, meaning that whatever you want to do in life of good, the avenue is open for you in this nation that you can pursue your desires. How many of you have fulfilled your desires? Desires that will make you happy. Happy because you're productive. Happy because you can look and see what the brilliance of your mind and the work of your hands and the unity of your pocketbook with others has caused you to build. Like a man that built a skyscraper and he walks downtown and he pats his belly and he looks up and says, look what I have done. He had the pursuit of happiness to fulfill his desires. A few of us have done good, but don't get it twisted. A few of us doing good has not benefited the masses of our people. So if what we have done has not helped the masses to move in a proper direction, what you've done is for you. What you've done may be for your family, but your family is a family among tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of families that are not doing well. So America, you started off with nice words. I mean, America can't beat the words of the Constitution and the preamble to it. Oh man, that's good stuff. But there's a problem. See, when you have good words, you got to have a good heart to give life to good words. Otherwise, it's what the president calls BS. And so many of us are full of BS that we can always force our mouth to say big things, but we can't force our hands to do good works. So the pursuit of happiness is the blessing of freedom, justice, and equality. Do we have freedom, a full, complete freedom? Do we have equal justice under the law? Do we have equality of opportunity?
Greetings and assalamu alaikum once again. This is your brother, student minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad, and we're here with our special edition of Connect the Dots, night edition. Hope I can see you, Brother Reginald, but I don't know whether you're coming on or not. I'll do the best I can to bring you on. I'm going to become technically proficient at this one. But we do see our brother KRino of the South Park Coalition and Artists Respecting Community. I'm going to add, brother, there he is, OG1. There he is, Reginald Gordon, Operation Outreach, also the United in Peace Houston. So our special guest for tonight, our show is just our initial special night edition of Connect the Dots, is one where we're going to call the State of the Hood, or the State of Black Houston, just a kind of a round robin conversation about what's going on on the streets and the suites and what's the condition of Houston. I want to first and foremost, I want to thank all of our viewing audience and everybody out there who called, text, wrote, posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, are concerned about our condition here in Houston, particularly during the freeze of 2021 and the boil water notice of 2021, and respecting some of your comments that you've posted on social media regarding our governor lifting the mask mandate and what it means to our health and our well-being and what is the real reason behind it. But more importantly, what we want to talk about is the condition of the people since the pandemic and what's really going on a more granular level and what's really going on in the streets. Brother KRino is, of course, a longtime entertainer, rapper. He's an author. We'll let him talk about his books. Reginald Gordon, OG1, is the man who started Scared Straight in the Texas prisons. And HBO came in, and as they always do, they came, they filmed it, they stole it. Oh, well, I may not be able to use that. They may sue me for that. Well, they got rights to it and didn't pay anybody that really started it. That being said, we still want to know what's going on, particularly with our youth. They're not in school, and many of them, and we know that much of the gang violence can be held down because many of the gangsters are in school at least 8 hours a day getting a decent meal. They may be recruiting, they may be doing some street organization activity, but at least they're not out here on the streets because many of them are not going to be sitting here watching and doing their homework on a computer. We know this to be a fact. KRino being an entertainer, how are these clubs and rap concerts? How are you doing it nowadays? How does that work out for you? And so we want to just get a kind of a feel from you two, from your particular point of view. And again, this is a special edition of Connect the Dots. My Connect the Dots show comes on every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time on KPFT, 90.1 FM Houston. KRino is on the same station. He comes on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. at 90.1 FM. And if you'd like to go on the archive and listen at least to my show, I think KRino, you can listen to his too. He doesn't play music that is copyrighted. So you can go to kpft.org/archive, and you can get literally our last 4, 5, 6 shows. You can download them, or you can subscribe to a podcast, and they will indeed be sent to your podcast. So let me begin with you, KRino. First and foremost, tell us what is the state of the hood? What's going on in Black Houston? What have you noticed since the COVID-19? People still trying to recover from Hurricane Harvey. Still got blue tarps on it from Hurricane Ike. So what is going on, and the condition of the hood as you see it, and how has it impacted you and the profession that you practice?
First, big brother, thank you for having us. Thank you for having me, brother. It's always an honor to sit down and absorb your wisdom and be a part of anything that you got going on in the Nation of Islam. So I thank you for having me on. Really, the thing is, people are just so anxious to get back to what they view as being normal. Everybody is just impatient. And sometimes in that impatience, it causes us to make hasty decisions or unwise decisions because we're so anxious to just jump back out there. So recently, you're starting to see a lot of the clubs looking like they looked before the pandemic. You're starting to see a lot of events starting to spring back up, and it's not a wise thing to do right now, and because we're so anxious to get back out there. As far as my personal events, I haven't done a concert since March the 6th of last year. That was the last time I rapped on stage, performed anywhere, and that was right when the pandemic, everything was getting ready to shut down. And I've been approached about doing some stuff and turning a lot of things down, turning a lot of events down, and any events that I might entertain doing have to come with strict stipulations like, look, I'm gonna need my own mics. I'm not rapping on no mics behind nobody else and all that. And I'm only coming on when it's time for me to come on, and I'm leaving when I'm done. So I think that this has been going on for over a year, and people are really starting to just trying to get back to normal. The governor's decision is kind of unfortunately pushing people back to that, and everybody's an expert on the mask and the science of this thing when really they're not. So yes sir, absolutely. Absolutely. But everybody's an expert, and everybody wants to make things a political issue, when in reality it's not just a political situation. It's a life or death situation. So I mean, but people in the streets, bro, you got a saying that I'm gonna jack from you real quick. You say the people are smarter than you think. And a lot of the people that's in the hood in the streets, man, they not falling for the okie doke. People are still being cautious. They're still practicing the proper protocols, and I'm glad to see that.
Okay, but Reginald, you work, of course, in the juvenile facilities. You deal also as a recovery coach, a certified recovery coach, and you're dealing with a lot of teenagers, and you are a specialist in trauma-informed care. So tell us about trauma-informed care, and tell us about what you're seeing out there in the community, particularly among our teenagers, which are the ones that Joshua generation we're going to turn this struggle over to. But how are they being impacted by this COVID-19, the shutdown, the cutoff from being with their peers, and living what we consider to be a normal life? What are you seeing out there?
First of all, just like Brother KRino, I will always want to give you thanks for being on the front line with us brothers out here on the street. We know, just like Brother KRino's my #1 song that he got on the video. It's called Keeping It Real Out Here. We keep it real out here. You know what I'm saying? So, KRino, which is my #1 artist in this great city of Houston, you know what I'm saying? I always call him the GOAT. And when I deal with young people, I play his music so to let him know that, positive energy can come from the rap world too. This thing with this pandemic, and even before the pandemic, but when the pandemic hit, I was dealing with a lot of young people in the juvenile probation, and I deal with a lot of homeless young people. But I also go into Harris County Jail, you know, and over this last year, our jails have been a place that nobody really going to talk about when we have inmates locked up behind these cells, and it's been really devastating for a lot of the inmates that's in the jail because they pile up in those cells and they haven't been able to distance a lot of those brothers in the cells. Also here dealing with the juveniles that I deal with is in treatment facilities. I deal with a lot of young men that's in treatment facilities all over the city here. And what I find out as I deal with young men and young ladies in the treatment facilities, depression on that young age is really setting in to where suicide in the last year or so have risen to an all-time high with our young people because, you know, they've been having more access to these drugs because we got to remember when you're locked in the house and can't deal with what we call trauma, and trauma is a form of depression, something that we have to start talking about in our community, especially with Black boys and Black men. Trauma is a transform of depression that causes mental illness in the long run, and we're dealing with. We see it on the streets constantly. We had 400 murders last year with a lot of the young men killing each other from a lot of mental behaviors because, like I see in the streets, this thing have almost drawn a lot of our young people when it comes to this suicide because they can't handle the change right now. You know, a lot of times they're so sociable as a people and getting out and not being locked down. So it's been a real hassle trying to keep young people active, keep them engaged. I've had several members and parents bring their kids. We've been doing one-on-one because I've been doing one-on-one sessions with them to try to get them to vent themselves out and let some of that pressure off them as they go out. But we've been doing Wellness Wednesday through this whole thing because I took in when the pandemic first started. I had working with at least 10 homeless young people, anywhere from 15 to 70. I was working with 10 young people that was homeless because when they was in our shelter here, the shelter was overcrowded and they kicked them out and they had nowhere else to go when this pandemic started. So I was blessed to work for somebody to where we was able to transform the building I work into a shelter. So we kept them day and night for the first 6 months of the pandemic, feeding them every day, taking them places to get shower, trying to make sure that they was comfortable during this whole pandemic. One of the young ladies that was 16, one of our female coaches had to watch because she was pregnant at 16, but the homeless shelter kicked her out on the street. So we was able to get them placed, get them set up and comfortable and get their life back on track. But we've been working constantly during this whole pandemic, working with our young people because a lot of our young people that didn't go to school, that come out these CPS treatment centers, if they go to the streets, we go out on the streets. We do street patrol and get them out of the streets and bring them in and try to get them some resources around the city and get them on track. So it's been really rough on me and trying to stay focused because as a supervisor, I have 7 coaches working for me in that area. So our job is to constantly work with our young people that study going to court. We're advocates for them in court. Two of the young people that I've been dealing with, they have underlying issues, which is not being able to get their medical conditions. So we've been had to deal with these hospitals and getting them their medical care. So it's rough out here, and our young people are the ones that's being overlooked, but we see them every day. All you have to do is turn on 13 News in the evening time, and you see half of them end up either being murdered in the streets or murdering each other. So we have some work to do, and we have to really stay on top of this here thing going forward because, again, a lot of them are not returning back to school because a lot of them feel like nothing in school, especially by Zoom, that they really want to pay attention to. And then a lot of them are scared to go back in the buildings of the public school systems.
Okay. So, KRino, you know what? You're part of the South Park Coalition, of course, which is a coalition of hip hop artists and others that come out of that South Park section of Southeast Houston. But you're also part of a group called Artists Respecting Community. So tell us the history of how that started and talk to us about OG Wicked Cricket, and how it all relates to what Brother Reginald is talking about when we talk about artists respecting community.
Well, it's a beautiful thing that we on a show called Connect the Dots, and we talking about all that because everything, like you said, big brother, does tie in together. Um, when you first informed all of us that you had met with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he had met with the rappers in Chicago, and he told you to go back and the other ministers to go back to your cities and duplicate what he did. And you reached out to me and said, hey, we need to get this thing going. And we were able to do so, bringing in a lot of the rappers and producers and then just not just artists, but people in general who wanted to be a part of this whole movement. And it was a continuation of something that we had done in 1999 when you convened a lot of the rappers together, people like Screw and SPM and Zero and Trey and 3-2. A lot of those great brothers were there. And we met and you discussed land ownership. You discussed just unifying and all of us coming together and using our gift for the ownership of our work. And it's funny how years later, in 2014, that whole vision just came full circle 15 years later. And then we just hit the ground running and brought in people like Cliche and Murder One and Gangsta Nip and all that. But like you said, it was all a part of a vision that the OG Wicked Cricket had all along, because you know, anybody who was in the game in this city, we've all been in those concerts and those showcases that Cricket would host, and he would always get on the mic and emphasize unity. Emphasize, hey, get to know this guy, get to know this sister. Y'all work together. Y'all merge y'all fan bases together. He would always emphasize that. So he had a sense of frustration that he always felt because he didn't see us doing that fast enough. We wasn't moving as fast as we needed to move. And unfortunately, we still are not there. And now, more unfortunately, he's gone. He's transitioned to where he can no longer put that stamp in that presence that he had, but that has to be done through us. And also got a shout out to Sister Fire, who was very instrumental in putting this thing together as well, even coming up with the name ARC. So
right,
that's the goal. It's just basically rappers transferring over from just exclusively doing music into activism, you know, being activists and using that voice and using our platforms to get out here and make a difference, whether it be for the homeless, whether it be for just people in poor areas of town, to make our presence known and do the things that the city may not be doing, the government may not be doing, and we get out there and put that foot in the game ourselves.
So you talk about activism. What kind of activism are you doing?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Or artist respect community. What kind of things that have you done? You know, Wicked Cricket may be gone physically. I remember visiting him before we went to 10-10-15 in which was the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, and I remember visiting him in the hospital and putting a Justice L's T-shirt on him. It was either before or after. I can't really remember whether we had just returned or we were going. But I remember visiting with him while he was in the hospital before he departed and returned to God. But nonetheless, what kind of activism has Artists Respecting Community doing? And because Brother Reginald pointed out homelessness, trauma, and we know that arts and culture really is a way to start a revolution, and in some cases stop a revolution. But tell us about what is in the heart of the artists and supporters. They're blog talk radio folk. There were radio DJs. There were videographers. There's Miss V Vanetta Epps of Hush Radio. I mean, you know, there was a whole eclectic group of PSK 13, and there's a whole bunch of people was there, and the original Ghetto Boys showed up too. Red and all them, the original Ghetto Boys. So talk about that, brother. What?
Yeah, what it was is that you got to understand, a lot of us we come straight out the hood. You know, I'm born and raised in the dead end, down when it really was a dead end before they opened it up. So the conditions that some of us, not all of us, but the conditions that some of us may have been blessed to get out of, or just to kind of make it out of a little bit, there are people who are still in those conditions, and we are familiar with them because we've lived them to some degree on different levels. Some of us was all right, some of us was poor, some of us was dirt poor, didn't have anything. So there's a relatability there. So we'll go out and we'll feed the homeless. We'll set up initiatives like 50 rappers, 50 meals, where we just get everybody to come out and bring some food. We'll go into the apartment complexes and feed the people who have roofs over their head, but they still living in what we call food deserts and don't have the consistent resources coming in. So it's good to get that extra bump. Well, a sandwich and an orange will go a long way. And also just to get out and speak, like when the times that yourself, Brother Reginald, and we've gone to these schools, we've gone into the high schools, the middle schools, and have actually just been hands-on speaking to the students at these schools to give them something to possibly plant a seed in them that might blossom later on down the line. I was at AutoZone a while back, a few months back, and there was a brother in there, and the brother looked older than me. He had a full beard.
I've had that happen to me on several occasions, brother. Go ahead.
and he was a security at the AutoZone, and he was telling me, say, man, I appreciate you, buddy. Say, you came to my school when I was young. And I'm like, we were about the same age. But he said, I came to a school when he was going to CLC, and we spoke at the school years ago. And he said that us coming there impacted him in such a way that it made him want to get on a better path. So I was like, man, thank God, all praise is due to Allah, because there are things we don't even remember that we do, and that had an effect on people. So we got to always be mindful of how we move. OG1 has been in these schools giving these brilliant presentations for decades, and you can see the effect that it has on the children when he's doing it, because us as grown men, we be in there like this, like, wow, this dude, what I'm saying? It have an effect on us. So those are some of the things that we do, and the things that we have to continue to do and make the adjustments, even in this pandemic era, to figure out how to still make those impact, because the pandemic has handcuffed all of us to a degree where we can't be as hands-on as we want to be, but we got to figure out ways to make those adjustments.
So, Reginald, music has a message. Me, I'm stuck in the 60s and the 70s. Everybody knows they laugh at me when I play that kind of stuff on my radio show in between my breaks. But there was a time where the music reflected the revolution that was going on in our thinking and in the streets. And then I remember the 70s distinctly, there was a change. And that change was, we got into disco, we got disconnected, we got discombobulated, and we got disgusted. And so, they talk about rap music, but if you go back to its very essence, it was a protest. It was a protest against the cutbacks, the pushback of the conservative movement against the Black Power, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, the anti-war movement. There was a conservative pushback, and a lot of things were happening, particularly in New York. I know, and cutting back in terms of funding. So they took their mama and daddy's old records, and they started scratching. So the DJs started scratching, and the MCs started rapping, and they put linoleum down on the floor in the school park, and then they started break dancing, and they didn't have any arts and supplies in the school, so they used the subway trains as a canvas for graffiti. And it's grown now. It's grown to slab cars and teeth and tattoos and hair, and everything now is a part of so-called hip-hop culture. But culture and the arts and culture, how is it impacting our youth today? Because there has been a switch. KRino is as you say, he's your GOAT, and he's my GOAT too, in terms of that. And I can't say that and not say nip and cliche. I get in trouble, and murder and all that. I get in trouble. The whole crew is I'm down with the whole crew. But what impact does art and culture have on the youth that you deal with? Tell me about their heroes and their sheroes, and the things that formulated in their minds, is art reflecting life or is life reflecting art?
That's a great question, Doctor. You're saying, because when I do a lot of the workshops, I ask a lot of those questions, especially dealing with the young generation of population that I work with. A lot of the young people I deal with, they either from the ages of 13 to 17, and half of them, at least 50% of them, have been affiliated with this gang lifestyle. And when you've been affiliated with that gang lifestyle, a lot of their music is who they represent themselves as, and as they carry their life out in the style of the music that they represent. And as you travel that journey, all the music right now, even when it came from gangster rap, these young people right now, they are him when we in these discussions in these group settings. A lot of them, they done made a commitment that, even the gangster rap, that they not truthful to the game, and then they call them studio gangsters. A lot of these young brothers that got caught up in what you call trap music now. And this trap music is young brothers showing that they body. When they say a body, that means that they gonna be for real about, if they speak about killing and murdering, things like that there in their music, this is what you have to be about if you're gonna speak about it in their music. And that trap music that these young boys are listening to, and if you hear it closely, dealing with the trend, they're living that lifestyle out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? Not that they won't, but the music is pushing them to be real about what you rapping about. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm hearing in the mouths and coming out the ears of a lot of our babies in this day and time. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times, like I said, coming through the gangster rap, which was exposed to them, that a lot of them speak gangster rap, but a lot of them living studio lifestyle. So a lot of our kids, especially our young people, that keeps me positive with them, and why they love me so much is because when I speak to them, I speak to them with an energy that they always tell me, keep it 100. So the trends, the fashion, and what's driving these young people in the music world, like a lot of them that's caught up in that rap, want to be rappers, want to be entertainers, a lot of them always tell me they just want to get to the big boys. And when they tell me they want to get to the big boys, that means they want to get their stuff on the radio. And so a lot of them, they do what they have to do to drive towards the big boys. So it's very deep in their lifestyle, and you have to know how to relate to them and where they at, and dealing with their music. Other than that, you're gonna lose them. So I find arts and talent is a big part in driving our young people in the way that they need to become. Because most of my presentations, I address the issues, but I also, when I use posters and magazines to educate them about people that they may be in love with as rappers, but we break it down to show that the lifestyle behind the rap music that they're singing is not who they really is. So I think culture and driving that music is really strong in our young people's mind.
So I want to tell our viewers, again, this is Connected Dots, nighttime edition. I'm your host, Brother Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. Our special guest tonight is KRino from the South Park Coalition, the Artists Respect Community, and Reginald Gordon, who is more than an activist, he's an advocate of Operation Outreach and, of course, United in Peace. Now, you see going across the screen, you see our Cash App, Action Community Development Corporation, is the sponsor of Artists Respecting Community and United in Peace Houston. If you'd like to contribute to our efforts, and we'll talk about, again, United in Peace, we put on peace rides. We're always out there intervening and doing the things we can do and feeding the hungry. So a lot of the activist work that's being done is being done from people who are the grassroots, boots on the ground people. And this has always been our complaint. I won't say complaint, but our pointing out to the powers that be that you give hundreds of millions of dollars to police, millions of dollars to build prisons and jails, millions of dollars for prosecutors and more courts and more judges and all of this. But the people who have boots on the ground, the people who are connected with the streets, whom they listen to, if we had resources, we could do so much more. So we look for your support, Action CDC, on next Saturday. Probably be about 12 noon, 4443 Old Spanish Trail. We'll be doing, of course, our food giveaway, and all of our volunteers from the local organizing committee, Justice House Local Organizing Committee, which is also sponsored by Action Community Development Corporation, is the outgrowth of the local organizing committee from 1994 in organizing for the Million Man March. We did not let our LOC die. And what we've done is we created an umbrella of series LLCs, which are limited liability corporations. Action Community Development is the umbrella for Artists Respect Community, United in Peace Houston, 21st Century Challenge, a new educational paradigm, Victory Wellness and Nutrition Initiative, Houston Trade, Commerce, and Entrepreneurship. I seem to be forgetting one, brother. Oh, our Gulf Coast Rescue Team, or Gulf Coast Emergency Management Team, formerly known as the 10,000 Fearless. And I know I'm forgetting something.
Brother
Bishop. Okay, yeah, and we are in coalition, of course, with the Church of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Black Butterfly, which is Bishop Oliver, Hope Over Hurt, which is Pastor Wendy Turner and her ministry. We also have Evangelist Tanya Dean, and she has a radio show that comes on KPFT, also 2 o'clock on Saturdays. Have we lost our faith? And so if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of our guests, please put it in the chat, and we will do that. Let's engage one with another. You have an opportunity to ask Reginald Gordon. Again, he is the one who started. Listen to what I'm saying, people. He's the one that started Scared Straight. But as I always say, this generation, you can't scare this generation, so you got to talk straight. And KRino, you're known by the wizard. You're respected by the great ones, Bun B, Scarface, Willie D. Everybody respects you, brother. The ones that's in the high cotton that met Trey the Truth, those that met, they know you as the wizard. But the question is, brother, why don't you have a national or big record deal? What happened in your, because you're known as one of the greatest conscious rappers that there are. You have evolved. I got some of your early stuff. you have evolved over the years, but brother, you put out in 1 year. Didn't you put out in 1 year 7 albums at one time?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 7 out, I think it's 2016. But really, all it is, big bro, is I had to kind of come into the understanding of my role and my purpose. I started out just like everybody else, trying to send my demos out and get a record deal and all that. But when I was introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1992, it changed how I rapped. It changed the things I talked about. And I always was a person who liked to give credit where it's due. I don't like to come into a body of knowledge and information and then act like it originated with me. So when I spoke about Mr. Farrakhan in my records now, that scared the record labels off. And we ain't signed this guy, because we know that the prominent elite members of the Jewish community, they own all of these record labels. They're the ones who control all of this. So it would be a conflict of interest with them to be putting out artists that are speaking directly against the agenda that they are pushing. So it made sense to me, once I came into that understanding. It was like I embraced it. It's like, yeah, cool. If I'm getting rejected by them, then I'm good. So it didn't bother me. But also and that ties into the brother Reginald's point, because when we talk about what the youth are listening to and what they're influenced by, it all starts at the top. It starts with what these labels, these companies are allowing to be put on the radio, allowing to be presented on the video shows, and presenting the image of us that's negative. So when that image is presented based on our conditions, we gravitate towards it, and before you know it, it becomes a soundtrack to our life. And so a lot of the youngsters are getting pumped up by the killing songs, getting pumped up by the drug selling songs, the drug using songs. and you're not hearing no balance. There's no counteraction to that will give consciousness to it and level that off and give a choice to our young people. So it's by design, man. It's the prison industrial complex. All these things are tied in. They have infiltrated the music industry, and they have put a hand on it so strong that they are remote control guiding us to either the grave or behind those bars, bro. So my job, what I believe to be my job is to be a voice that whatever level, whether it be on a small level, because I'm not out there like that, or whatever level that I'm blessed to do it on, is to counteract that to the best of my ability and try to save as many as we can with God's permission.
So, but Reginald, we know that according to the criminologists, that if our children don't pass that 3rd, 4th grade reading test, they know how many prison cells to build. What is your concern with COVID-19, post-COVID-19, especially with our children not going to school because of the pandemic?
Well, Minister, this is an issue that I've been screaming from the top of my lungs ever since I got caught up in that prison industrial compound back in the mid-70s. That once I was in prison, I went to prison because what I had was an issue that was called dyslexia. As a young man, I was dyslexic. I had a reading issue. And when you go to prison, 80% of the brothers have what you call some form of reading problem. Either they can read or they can't read. And that is an issue that's not spoke about, talked about. So even those that's coming out that don't have a reading issue before they get past the 3rd grade, they're doomed when they get there anyway, because again, a lot of the issues that deals with dyslexia, mental illness when it comes to Black boys, that's something that we very rarely talk about, because young boys don't want to be identified with a lot of the issues that we need to talk to them about on mental illness. We have to, if we're going to change the mindset and how we get our young men back on track, attack these issues that cause them to not be able to read and write once they even incarcerated. So therefore, that's a mission that I go in to, where I go and do a cognitive intervention program while I'm in jail, because a lot of times when you do cognitive intervention, challenging their mind while they're in jail, a lot of the brothers want to talk, they want to debate, they want to see where your mind is at. And when you get them on course to get into the root cause of what they're about, and find out what we need to do to help you, a lot of times these brothers break down and tell you when they feel comfortable and safe with you, I can't read, brother. What do I need to do to get on course with you? So how did you get out of it? So that is an issue not only in our public school system, but it's also an issue in our jailhouses, in our prison system also. That the brothers, as not even in elementary all the way up to high school, that we have a major issue in our brothers not being able to read at a different level and ending up in their justice department.
So let me ask you something, Brother Reginald. What then is the solution?
Well, I say this all the time because, I have young men that I've been working with for the last 10 to 15 years. I just hired a young brother that I've been working with him for the last 20 years. Powerful young brother. I mean, he's able to build his self-esteem up. He's able to get back in these trades, because I'm very high on teaching young brothers trade, how to be skillful with their hands. I respect college, but I know what helped me move along. When I was not able to go to school and go to college, I was skillful in my hand, because I did go to a trade school when I was out. Before I went to prison, I learned COTC. I learned a building maintenance trade. So in building maintenance trade, I was skillful in doing plumbing. I was skillful in doing sheetrock. I was skillful in a lot of these areas that I could make an honest, legit hustle on. So my point in dealing with those brothers that have these reading problems is to go in and teach them a trade on how to deal and make money and live a healthy life without getting involved with criminal activities, because they have a trade that nobody can take away from them. So that's the issue. That's the key to what we have to do to storm these jails, storm these prisons. When they get out, get them involved in how to work with their hands. to get skills back into their life. So therefore, they don't have to depend on somebody that's going to challenge them with them not being able to read. If I can't read, but I know how to fix your car. I can't read, but I know how to do your plumbing. I can't read, but I know how to do sheetrock on your house.
That a plumber right now is making so much cheddar right now, brother. All the rats is following him around. He's making so much cheese right now. After this freeze and these pipes busting, So let me say this. Let me as we go to close out our program for today. KRino, what do you see? I see your information is down there now. The Real KRino on YouTube. So tell us about your radio show. Tell us about your YouTube channel and your social media presence. And Reg, you put yours in the private chat, and I'll put yours up there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to use social media as a tool to be effective to help our people, plain and simple. Not wasting the platform, not being silly on it, not being stupid on it, but actually utilizing it to the best of our ability. The same way we do with the music. Anything that gives us a voice, anything that gives us a platform, we have to be wise in our utilization of it. So that's my goal. The music is gonna always be there. I'm gonna always make the music, but 50 years of life, and I like to believe I picked up a few little tidbits of knowledge here and there. I might be dumb, but I ain't stupid. So you try to give as much back as you can based on what you learn. And that's my only goal right now, is to try to uplift us to the best of my knowledge and whatever God allows me to do.
So tell us about the 2 books you've written, man. You've written more books than I have, and I have a
doctorate.
I have a doctorate.
These 2 books right here,
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Shameless plugs. The first book is called Life Lessons and Lyrics. And it's basically like, I guess you can call it an autobiography to a degree up to this point, and just talking about my upbringing growing up and how music was the one constant thing that accompanied me on that whole journey through life. When anything else that came and went, music was still right there the whole time. So that's what this book is about. This is my first book I ever written, but the next book that I just released a few months back is called Behind These Bars. And this book was really written per fan request, because a lot of my supporters were like, man, why don't you write something that explains a lot of your songs and breaks down some of the lyrics and why you wrote them and all that. So I did that, and it's pretty detailed. So if anybody wants to get copies of the book, they can go to southparkcoalition.net and they can order copies of the book. Both books.
But Reg,
yes, sir.
Tell us how we can reach you, brother.
You can reach me on my Facebook page at Operation Outreach OG1. You know what I'm saying? And the word OG1 only means the original group 1 that I started when I was in prison, because that was a capturing verb that a lot of young people was attracted to. And I think it's my job as a motivational speaker and as a leader to get young people to listen to what I have to say. I have to captivate their thinking to get them to listen to what I have to say. So you can reach me on my Facebook page at Operation Outreach OG1, or you can also email me. My email is auragordon@og1yahoo.com. And you can also come to my facility. We got a beautiful facility that we're doing Wellness Wednesdays on, where we bringing in young people to sit them in a circle, to where we can let them ventilate and get that energy out on them and speak truth to power, speak truth to seniors in the circle. Let them speak what's on their mind
There
to get out
is
what they're going through.
no Christian pastor.
Excuse me, brother. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
So that is definitely a thing that we're trying to create in the community, building a safe place to where our young people can feel safe, because we understand that to treat trauma, you have to build them and get into their space to make them feel safe, to where they feel they can be comfortable around the environment that they're in. So we have to build safe places for our young people if we're willing to get them out of that mindset and deal with a lot of mental trauma that our young people are going through this day, the depression. And so therefore, that's where you can get me at. I'm always open. I'm always saying that when the men stand up, our boys will sit back down.
Beautiful. That being said, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for tuning in to our first special edition of Connected Dots Night Edition. Normally, our show comes on every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, KPFT. You can go to kpft.org/archive and get our last 5 or 6 shows. KRino also has a show on KPFT, and that's KPFT.org 90.1 FM, but you can go there at kpft.org/archive. And if you'd like to support our shows, because we're commercial free radio, and really it is it's people driven radio. So if you don't contribute, then the station doesn't continue on. But KPFT has been around for a long time. So you can go to kpft.org and you can sponsor my show, which is Connected Dots. You can find it on there, or you can sponsor, of course, KRino Radio, which comes on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on KPFT. Again, Brother Reginald, give your email address so people can contact you. I think it's important. Some of y'all living in these middle-class lifestyles, you got some children that are wannabe gangsters, or they really are gangsters and you really don't know it. And they're involved in some things that you're going to be shocked and amazed. You're going to wind up putting your house up for bond. You're going to wind up spending money for lawyers because you just didn't know that Ray, Junebug, and Man was involved with a whole bunch of foolishness that was going on that you needed to intervene. If you're having anger issues, if you're having problems, and you see a child acting out, I urge you to contact Brother Reginald Gordon. He can keep it real, keep it 100, as they say on the streets. So give your email address again, Brother Reginald, please.
My email is auragordon.og1@yahoo.com. Or get me on Facebook, Reginald OG1 Operation Outreach at Facebook. Everything will pop up and it'll show you 30 years of the work I've been putting in on the street, been consistent in it, been true to it. And you can't lead the people if you don't love the people.
Come on. I heard that somewhere before. Well, we want to thank our special guest tonight, KRino. We want to thank you for coming on, and we want to thank you, Brother Reginald Gordon, for coming on the first special edition of Connected Dots.
Big brother, can I say something real quick?
For slight fee, anything can be arranged. You see the cash
Go ahead,
bro.
Well, what I wanted to say is that number one, again, we appreciate you for bringing us home, but also more importantly, we appreciate you for all of the decades of work that you have contributed to the city of Houston and just to the Black community, period. Because if it wasn't for your presence and all the things that you have done, this city wouldn't be where it is. Your work has had such an impact that it's changed whatever this city would have been. It's on another level now because of you, bro, because your life has been dedicated to this work, and a lot of the things that we know and we speak about, we do so because we've learned under your guidance. So we appreciate you, big brother. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That mean we love you and ain't nothing you can do about it, brother.
No question.
Well, I'll say it like this, brother. Man is not made to accept praise. So I would say all praise is due to Allah. I thank you, brother. And as the minister told me long ago, I remember when I first became the student minister in Houston in 1987, I worked the field, the vineyard, brother. And literally none of the big names would ever come to any event we put on. So I started going to their stuff and just whatever. And eventually they let me do the benediction, or they let me do the invocation, or they maybe let me bless the food at a banquet or something like that. Or they recognize us being in the audience. Brother Muhammad and the Nation of Islam are here. Let us, give them a round of applause. And that was it. And the biggest it came when they looked up one day at the Sam Houston Coliseum in September 1990, and we had 12,000 people in the Sam Houston Coliseum with no press conferences and whatnot. We did work in the streets, radio advertisement, posters, flyers, selling tickets, setting up outlets, and they looked up and it was 12,000. And it was at that point I can trace every kind of award or recognition or anything I got, and I can trace back to 1990. None of them predate 1990. And I remember the NAACP wanting to give me a big award. And I got nervous. I called the minister and he said, well, brother, accept the award. He said, but I want you to know, brother, you know, he says, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the reward comes when the work is done. He said, look at the condition of the city, brother. Is the work done? I said, no, sir. He said, well, accept the award as encouragement to keep on keeping on. And I thank you, brother. All praise is due to Allah. But whatever I get, whatever flowers that I get in life, it's only to encourage me to keep on keeping on. The work's never going to be done until our people are free, justified, and equal. So, brothers and sisters, we want you to get the truth, get organized, so we can get free. Right. The local organized committee meeting takes place every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. We have it on Zoom. It's virtual now, but normally it would be at Shape Community Center, 3815 Live Oak, but it's on Zoom. We're going to put those up in our preceding programs to let you know more and more and more about our local organized committee, because we got to get organized. The difference between a tropical storm and a Cat 5 hurricane, Minister Farrakhan teaches us, is this level of organization. So we got to get organized, brothers and sisters, if we're going to be free. Right. You know, our opposers and our oppressors and our enemies do not outnumber us. Right. They out-organize us. So let's get organized so we can get free. So, brothers and sisters, as Brother Reginald said, you know, until next time, I'm going to try to put a set time to this program. Until next time, may Allah bless you, may He keep you, and know this: we love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. So until next time, may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace, leading you out with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, saying to you, I'll leave you with a clip of the minister, and I love you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
Peace.
That preaches Jesus, that will lay down their life for Him, except a few. Most of us are in it for the business. And that's why Jesus said, all that came before me were thieves and robbers. But I, he said, am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. If you're not willing to die for this people, get the hell out from in front of them. Get out from in front of them. If you are not willing to face the lion in the thicket and the wolf that wants to eat the sheep, get out from in front of this people. I'm born to die for this. And can't no punk walk with me. So if you want to be depunctified, depunctified, join the FOI, join the MDT, join the Nation of Islam, and take a dose of what got Farrakhan lackey is.